Tiny House Prepper.
Live simple, live free. Hi, this is Elizabeth with Tiny House Prepper, and I'm going to begin what may end up being several videos talking about what I like to call tiny house systems, and really sharing with a lot of honesty a lot of things that are involved when you're actually living in a tiny house. And I've seen many really beautiful little videos showing wonderful little tiny houses, some very minimalist, others that aren't so much. But I've often wondered how they really do their everyday living and what's really involved in that. So I kind of want to just share with you guys some of the systems that I really have had to put in place so that living here becomes very workable and is the joy that it really is. And I think one of the first things that it's really important to understand, and that I have really had to learn, is that you have to really observe your life. You have to really observe and pay attention to the things that you need to do all the time, and how to make sure that they are going to work, and how to make sure they're going to work in a very small space. And so I know that I've mentioned before that, I prayed and said, Lord, if I'm going to live in something that small, there's some things I'm really going to need. And I have to honestly admit, we didn't go into this because we had decided to embrace this lifestyle. We went into it because of what happened in the economy and because of so many things that happened to us through all of that, and through actually a lot of loss. But I'm grateful that we ended up owning this little piece of land and what started out to be an incredibly ratty, moldy trailer. And if Bill hadn't been able to do so much work on this place, it wouldn't even be safe to live here, but he has just transformed it. And so now I've found myself adapting to living in a small space. And I really mean it when I say live simple, live free. I really do enjoy it, and I'm grateful for it. But I've had to really do some adapting. And that's a lot of what I want to talk about. Like I said before, there were some things I felt like I really needed. Are recliners. I have to rest my head, especially since the stroke. I can't just be sitting upright all the time because the area of my brain that was affected affects balance, and I need to rest my brain from balancing. And I don't want to just be laying down in the bed to do that. I wanted a dishwasher and a washer and dryer and a real shower where you don't have to just sit on a toilet to rinse, because I'm going to be doing this for a long time. Well, thankfully, with the way the Lord's worked this out and with my husband's talent and ingenuity and skills, I have all of those things. But it's still a very small space. So what I have really had to learn is, how do I make this work on a day-by-day basis? Because it doesn't happen all by itself. Now, two of the things that I have made real rules now in my life are, one is the good old KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie. If there's some way that I can make something work better, then I need to just figure out a way to make that happen. And the other is just the whole thing I talked about a moment ago, about being very observant with my life. We have to give ourselves permission to take charge and to be the one in control of what happens in our environment, and to make sure that I have things set up in a way that's really going to work all the time. And so I have to take charge of that, and I have to make the decisions. And it's worth it, but it doesn't happen automatically. And I think too often we have a tendency for our life just to kind of happen to us, and that does not work in a place this small. I have to make sure that I am the one in control of what's happening in my environment. So, and it works, but it takes paying attention. It really does. In terms of just general principles, you take care of problems early on. You don't let something build, because it's going to be much more irritating when you're in a very small space. And it takes a little bit of constant organizing. I'm going to be touching on individual systems, but it doesn't happen just once. You are having to kind of keep an eye on things and keep it organizing, because things are going to change. And if something no longer works, then you'll figure out a way to make it work better. Not like that's a big constant burden, but it is something that is going to have to be somewhat ongoing. Taking care of things is a constant, but it's a small area, and taking care of it isn't necessarily a headache or a big burden, but you can't let it go slack. Recently, Bill and I both were sick for a while, and even at that, both of us had to be pretty diligent about staying on top of things. Things that normally in a bigger house you could kind of let go doesn't work in something this small. And not only because if I let things get really cluttered or get really messed up, it would drive me crazy, but you don't have anywhere for that to happen. And so it will become unworkable and unlivable very, very quickly. Quite honestly, you take a tiny space like this, being a hoarder just doesn't work. It just isn't you're not going to be able to actually live in here very long. Let me give a very quick example of one of the systems that I have to keep in place. Now, I have a washer and dryer here. Thank you, Lord. It's not a real big capacity, but it actually holds a pretty nice size load of laundry. I'm real grateful for this apartment-sized stackable washer and dryer. I have to make sure that I get my clothes washed just about as soon as I have a load. I have a collapsible hamper in my closet. I have a very small closet. I'm going to show it to you. But I have a collapsible hamper in there. And it still gives me room because I put it underneath, like a few shirts I've got hanging there. And if something's longer, I hang it beside. I'll show it to you. That hamper, once it gets kind of full, will do just about one load. Well, when it gets full, I have to be sure I do that load. And once that load of clothing is washed and dried, it must be folded and put away pretty much immediately. That's because if I take the clothes out and I set them up on my bed, which is high enough, it makes a very good folding platform for me. If I don't get them folded and put away, then when it comes time to go to bed, I'm going to have to move all that stuff to my chair. If I don't have the stuff put away, I either won't have a bed or I won't have a chair. And so that's just one little example where you have to stay on top of it. I can't let clothes pile up, not that I have that many now anyway, but I can't let them pile up. I don't have anywhere for overflow. So it's important that I don't have too many clothes, and it's important that I take care of them on a really consistent basis. When we first were going to be moving into this place, I had to get everything like that I was going to have here really organized. So part of the systems I want to talk about is how to set it up, or how I've at least found that I could set it up. And then I want to talk about how important it is to maintain it. And I think that's also going to tie into a lot of things we want to share about becoming debt-free. There's the whole system of becoming debt-free, which I don't want to try to cover in this video, but I am going to be touching on systems that we've had to put into place so that we stay debt-free and we keep careful track of the finances. So in both respects, there's a matter of getting things organized, but there's also a matter of taking the steps to make sure that you keep it that way. Okay, we are now in our bedroom, and I call it a bedroom because it really just has the bed. And of course, that's Leo's favorite place to be sleeping. Hey, kitty. So anyway, this is my closet. And if you can see in here, this is all the room I've got. This is my closet. So I've got a few longer things hanging here, some shirts hanging there. And this is where I actually have my little hamper. And I'm about ready to put one load in the wash. I've got some clothes, some sweaters folded here. And I just changed out of my shoes. Those actually can tuck under the bed in a little cubby that Bill made. But anyway, that's what I was showing you, is that I don't have any extra room. If I don't get my laundry done, I don't know where in the world I would put the dirty clothes. And so it has worked out to have a couple drawers there and some little drawers there. They're not very big. And get everything organized. Now, we really do separate things into summer and winter. We have some bins that we are able to kind of store that I put summer clothes in, and then we switch out to winter clothes. And for the first time in my life, I've done that because I've always just had plenty of closet room. So I've had to learn to do that. But anyway, that's, with my laundry, I have to take care of that. Bill's a sweetie. He basically does his laundry. I do mine, and then I do the towels and the sheets, which doesn't amount to a whole lot because we just got the one bed. But you have to keep up with it. Okay, now I'm in our bathroom, And I, once again, really appreciate the fact that it has a shower over here. It's a regular shower. And I really appreciate that. Because it's small and crowded, I even came up with a simple system, like I don't really have room to put another rug right here. So I bought a real thick bath mat, and I hang it up on the grab bar when we're done with showers, so this door doesn't get caught in it trying to open and close it. And then we pull it back out when we have to do when we want to do a shower, and it goes in the washing machine very easily. One of the things that I've come to realize is that I don't know if everybody's like this, but I know for myself and some of people that I've known, you'll try a new shampoo, so you end up with several shampoos sitting there, both of which are kind of being used, or you'll suddenly decide you want to try a different of something or another. Well, like, I can't really do that anymore. I do make sure that we do keep some stuff ahead. That's part of being prepping. But I use what I'm using until it's done, and then I get a new one. So I don't have a lot of clutter sitting around. I don't have partly used stuff sitting around. I'll use it up. If I like it well enough to use it, I'll use it. And I'll use it up and then get a new one out. I have a little wrap-up thing that I can put toiletries in for trips, and man, has that been handy. Just hanging on a hook here, so that I've got stuff really ready right here now for everything that I need to use. This is literally the amount of space I have for some towels, and the only reason we even have that many is because I want to make sure that, you know, if I have company, I can at least give somebody a towel. So you just have to make as good a use of the space as you possibly can. Okay, now we've taken the long walk from the bedroom through the bathroom into the kitchen, and as would be expected, the kitchen is really a biggie. And one of the things that I had to do is I had to decide and really pay attention. What do I actually use? And what would I be sorry to give up, but what do I really do on an everyday basis? One of the things I want to make sure that everybody understands is that we're actually not really minimalists. I'm not really living a life right now where I would have one plate for each of us and a glass and one spoon and fork. I like to have company over, and I want to be able to have more of a basic setup as far as the kitchen, but I don't have very much room in here, especially compared to the houses that I've had before. So one example is if you turn down here on this Magic Bullet. I used to have a blender and a Magic Bullet. Well, I realized that the Magic Bullet can do everything that the blender did, so I'm down to just that, and the toaster. We have the can opener here. Hanging the mugs has been really helpful. You also have to have a little bit of aesthetic joy in your life, so I used one of them for one of my favorite chimes. That's a G scale, by the way. I'm a music teacher. Okay. My spoon holder. If you bring it around here, my spoon holder was driving me bananas because I need it, but it was in my way. So my husband put a nail up and I hang it, and I'm really happy having my spoon holder hanging up out of my way. Cutting board tucked out of the way. You have to make sure that everything has a place. And one of the things that's been a real eye-opener for me is that even if you don't have much space, you want to be very careful not to cram those spaces full. I still want to have access. I will guarantee you, any place where you have to go through a huge headache every single time you try to use something or find it is going to drive you crazy. I'm trying really hard to not allow that to happen. If it's not working, I got to figure out a way to fix it. I'll let Bill show right up in here. If you look up here, I can get to everything in this shelf, and it's not all cluttered or whatever. I know where stuff's at, and I have to be able to know that I can get back there and get what I need. What is the use of burying something so far back that I don't know what's there and I don't end up using it? And that really touches on something that has really been fundamental for me. This is partly from being in a small area like this, a small space, having a small refrigerator, and it's partly become part of my prepper mentality. And it has really changed how I cook, how I shop, and what is in my kitchen. Now, behind Bill, and we'll see this in the living room, we do have the shelves with our Thrive items on there that we use. I use them all the time for cooking. But I'm determined not to waste anything. And we really don't. But that means that now my fridge doesn't have so much crammed in it, because if I don't know for sure that I'm going to use it, I don't have it in there. I have to know that I'm going to use what I have. I don't have much space anyway, and having stuff sitting around extraneously that you do not use and that just goes bad is a very foolish use of my space. So if we can just down real quick. It's especially empty right now, but my fridge doesn't have a whole ton of stuff in it. Now right now we do have to get a few more things, but I cook so much with the Thrive, or I've used the fresh stuff so much that, when we go shopping, probably tomorrow afternoon to get some things for the next week, I will make sure they're used. I'll make sure we don't have produce go bad. We use it. And we set up every week. We get together and we make a menu, and we get the stuff I know I'm going to need for those meals and make sure I've got that covered. But by the end of the week, my goal is that I've used that food, the fresh food, up. Now, the prepper part of me always has food stored and ready to go, but I'm talking about the fresh stuff that I don't want to have go bad. I can't throw a bunch of, even meats and stuff. I make sure that if I need something fresh for meat, I'm going to use it in plenty of time. So I'm really, really working hard to make sure that nothing goes bad in there, but that everything is actually used. There's certain things that you always want to have around. We have a lot of food set aside for prepping. But I used to have a refrigerator full of stuff. I'd just go buy a bunch, and then things would be wilty, and I wouldn't end up using all of it. And so, when I cook, I don't cook I don't cook leftovers. Except when we decide to, with a great big kettle of chili, and then I put them into bags and we freeze them, and we've got a lot of nice meals made ahead. But that is a deliberate decision. Other than that, I cook what we're going to have for that meal, and I do not throw away stuff. I can make a fresh cup of soup for myself at lunchtime out of Thrive stuff without even batting an eye. So that has really been actually a lot less headache, and it's been much better use of the space I have. And usually my fridge isn't quite that empty. Okay. Well, I think this will be my conclusion to part 1. And we'll be continuing. You can follow a link that we're going to have here to go to part 2. I'm going to be talking in this next section about a lot of the maintenance and routines that I have to keep things well maintained. And so I will join you in the second half, and thank you for coming along with me here. God bless you guys. If you like it, please like and subscribe, and live simple, live free. Thank you.